good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to our August webinar. Thanks for joining our webinar today, focused on AMAG's Symmetry solutions and services available to our channel and customers. I'm Kim Rayfelt, Director of Media Relations, and I will be your host today. Our webinars are designed to keep you updated on what is new with our Symmetry Security Management System, provide an overview of Symmetry's unique features and benefits, and help you, help you differentiate your company from others when you partner with us. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box and we will address as many as we can at the end of the webinar. And we will be sure to follow up in the thank you email with those that we didn't get to after the webinar. So after taking a few months off, today we welcome back Vice President of Product Development, Jonathan Moore, to the customer webinar. Jonathan is going to give you a sneak preview of some exciting developments that we've been working on here at AMAG. We also welcome back the Manager of Applications Engineering, Greg McDermott, who will talk about what we're going to be showing in our booth at GSX. And I'll wrap it up with a short marketing update at the end. So AMAG Technology delivers a powerful, unified, and open security management platform that empowers businesses to effectively secure their facilities, meet compliance, and have peace of mind. While access control is certainly the foundation of what we do here, the Symmetry Security Management System also includes video, identity management, analytics, mobile, intrusion, visitor management, command and control, and incident management. Symmetry's scalable security solutions provide operational insights and intelligence to improve business today and tomorrow. Our solutions also help our reseller channel and end users solve problems. The Symmetry Security Management System and our ecosystem of best-of-breed technology partners work together to provide a complete solution for you. All of our webinars and much more are available on our YouTube channel. Now I am going to turn it over to AMAG Vice President of Product Management, Jonathan Moore.
Thanks, Kim, and good afternoon from the East Coast to everybody. It's good to be back on the webinar. As Kim said, it's been a little while since I've been on one of these, but coming up to the GSX trade show, we've got a couple of really nice new applications that I'm pretty excited to introduce and talk to you all about today. We will be previewing these at the show, as Kim said, and they'll be released shortly after the show. We'll be announcing release dates and things fairly soon prior to the show, but you'll be able to see these deployed and working at GSX, and as I say, they'll be out shortly after that. So I've got two new web-based applications to talk about today, and as Kim was talking about all our product line there, I'm really hopeful that in future these are going to be fundamental to our product line and unifying that product line in some ways, which we'll get into a little bit today. So specifically, these are in use with our access control solution, and we're going to start off with a new product, which is our Symmetry Portal web client. And this is a brand new web client that we are shortly about to release with obviously all the features and functionality that you would expect out of something like that, modern look and feel, responsive UI, and those sorts of things. So we'll get into that in some detail. I'm not going to cover every little bit and piece of this product today, but I'm going to just touch on a couple of the features and functionality that are included. And obviously you can stop by the booth and see what else is in there at the same time at GSX. So let's jump into Symmetry Portal. What we're looking at and what I'm focusing in on today is the identity and credential management side of that product, and the real-time alarms viewing, and then also some of the technology that we've put into this. It's the initial release of a new web application, and as you may expect, we have a well planned out roadmap at this point for what we want to go into this and where we see this product going in future. But I want to start off by saying this isn't a product that just allows you to manage card holders at this point, and that's sort of it. It's got a lot of back-end functionality that I want to sort of touch on and talk about. And one of the first things I want to talk about is just the REST API. So I don't typically get very technical on these types of webinars, and trust me, I'm not going to do that today either. But I just want to talk about that REST API and where that may go, and what that gets us in terms of integration and use of this new portal product itself. So the user interface that we're using actually accesses the Symmetry Access Control System through this REST API. So it's not a separate API that we're offering out to the markets or something like that, exclusively for use by third-party integration. It's an API that AMAG ourselves also will be using, excuse me, as part of this user interface. So all the features and functionality that are available in the web client that we're going to look at are actually running through that API as well. So we're really using our own API, and as you may expect, at that point, it has to have all the necessary features and functions that we need to have in order to produce a nice feature-rich user interface. So I'm very proud of what that REST API is looking like today and the functions that are available within it. And it's also essential to producing a new web application like we're going to see today. So let's go to the next slide. So just going into a little bit more about the technical fundamentals of the product itself. So I'm showing just a new user that's being added into the web app that you can see in the image on the right-hand side. So nothing too crazy there. I've just added a local user, Jonathan Moore. My email address is in there. One thing I wanted to mention here is that when a new user is added, we can actually send them an email and they can authenticate. So we can confirm that the email address is correct and have their account set up, much like a lot of websites and web accounts that everybody's familiar with setting up and using today. So we've really added the ability to add and track and manage things like email addresses within here. Why is that important? Because people like me forget our passwords all the time. And when I forget my password, I need to reset it, and we don't want to have to call an administrator to do that sort of thing manually, right? Some of the other features that are here related to logging in, as you can see, I've got a local sign-in selected, so I've set up a local account, but we also support single sign-on right off the bat with the solution. So for the more technical folks out there, we support the typical SAML SSO that we've supported with our other web applications, but we've also extended it to OAuth as well, which is another type of single sign-on that's very common, becoming more common out there. And we have the old traditional AD authentication as well. We can do things like mixed mode and things, so you can have local sign-in and single sign-in as options. So a lot of thought, a lot of work's been put into just things like authentication and how those workflows work. Let's jump to the next slide. Along with that, we have user roles that are editable. You can edit user roles as required. We get very quite granular in terms of what can be created and managed within this system and within this application. So it's not just a one-size-fits-all. If you can log in, you can kind of get to everything. This is the concept here is that specific users will have very clear roles and very specific access only to what they need to have access to, both from a security and a usability standpoint, where we don't want to confuse them with things that they don't need to know about or need to work with. So we want to encourage users to be able to use the solution and make it as easy as possible. So you can add, edit, manage user roles within this particular application. Let's go to the next slide. Beyond that, just a couple more technical things that we see here. Things, most of the pages that you'll see in this web app are configurable. So we've put in things like different views that you can see. This is on the identity screen, which we're going to look at in a moment. This is just showing that I wanted the person's image and then first name, last name, access codes, and credentials to show up. There are other options, as you can see further down, that I've disabled, like middle name or full formatted name, those sorts of things. I don't want to see that. That just clutters up my screen, and I want to see it this way, right? If the data is stored or formatted in a certain way, that it makes it easier for me to understand. And also with this, it's not just a case of you can create a new view. you can also set it as a default view. So you don't have to go in and click each time and try and find the view that you created before. You can set these things up very nice and easily. And the next time you log in, it's going to be at that same view that you wanted. You also can see some sorting and grouping and filters, which I'm not going to get into now. But there's tabs there as well where you can actually group by certain fields, sort the list and that sort of thing as well. It seems like data is getting a little more complicated these days, and there's just large data sets that you have to work with. We have to lean into that and give you the right sort of tools to be able to manage that data. Let's jump to the next screen. So while we're on the screen, we're now on the identities module. So if you look right at the top of the image there, you can see that it's selected on the identities module. This is called the portal web client because it takes you to different modules within the overall application. So it's really a transport to these different modules. And that's very important for a variety of reasons. We've built this in a very scalable architecture where it's different modules can be added at will. And as we grow, we shouldn't run into the kind of limitations where as the product gets larger and larger, it gets more difficult to add new features and functionality because of all the testing and all the history and other code that's already in there. We've created a modular architecture that can be scaled up over time, which means that as we grow, we're not going to be encumbered by having to do months and months of testing or back-end code checking and things like that, where each module would only have to be tested, or each new module or module that was affected would only have to be changed. So you can see some of the modules that are up there, and we'll jump into some of them as we go. And more modules will be added in future as well. Addressing just this particular screen and the identities side of this, I'm on the main identities page here, and there's a lot of different options in terms of searching for different users and different identities, so to speak. I actually searched by, you can see the number that's in there. I just typed in the card number or my credential number, and that actually matched up, and that brought up my list. And this was a list of thousands and thousands of people in the test system that I'm using, and it found me. I just typed in the number, and there I was. And it's searching on all the different available fields. There's also on towards the left that's highlighted in red, a variety of different views that can be seen there as well. So I could change this to more of a block view where I can see larger pictures of each person, a bit more detail about each person, or I can have it in this detailed view. I can export records, that sort of thing as well. So a lot of functionality in here has been added, makes it very easy to sort of set this up the way you want it. Let's go to the next slide. And basically on day one, you will see I've just drilled into that same cardholder record. We have essentially full cardholder management within the Portal web app on day one. If any of you are familiar with our other hosted solutions and web-based solutions like Connect, for example, or guest visitor management, those sorts of things, the look and feel is also very similar to those, and we've gone with similar layouts as well, just so that we're trying to align these products much more closely together so that they can easily be used together, and it's not so jarring when you go from one product to another. So that's a bit of the unification that I'm talking about. We recognize that these products need to align. They're often used together, and we're working very, very hard on that. So all the sort of cardholder management that you'd expect to be in this client is all here. There's additional data fields that you can't see on this image, but it's all there. You can assign the access rights and all those sorts of things from here, credentials, personal data fields, etc., etc. And it's got great image capture as well, live image capture, upload an image, crop, all that kind of stuff is in here. You'll have to come to the booth at GSX to see a bit more about that. Let's go to the next slide. And just a taste of, obviously not a mobile application at this stage, but these are actual images that I took today, this morning, quite honestly, and they're from my cell phone. I've just started up the same URL from a web page, and this is the responsive UI. It looks great. It's come out really, really well. So the web page scales down very nicely to my mobile phone. I put these images up just to show you the concept of you can access this data from a tablet or mobile device as well, no problem. Next slide. Okay, so now we're just jumping over to the alarms module. So this is sort of real-time alarm viewing that we have here. So you can see up at the top, we're now over on that alarms button. There's some configuration and other options here, but basically all the alarms will flow through to the portal alarms viewer. You can see all the data that you would typically see in our traditional client that's here. And at this stage, you have the ability to do things like clear and acknowledge the alarms. You'll see things like instructions. You can add comments, predefined comments, those sorts of things. Obviously, this is an area we want to take further in future for sure. But it's good. Day one functionality is good for alarm viewing and the ability to go in and manage those alarms as required. And then when combined with all those sorting and filtering and other views that I was talking about, you can really drill into the specific alarms and data that you want to see. Next slide. So this is a little bit about what I'm talking about. It's that same alarms viewer, that user interface on the left-hand side. I just changed the view to it's more of a grid view or something like that. I forget the actual name, but you can see there I'm seeing different alarms with much larger, more detailed. So it depends, you know, if you have a large screen up somewhere and you want to see these alarms coming in, this might be a good view to have, right? Or if you're only looking for a particular type of alarm, that sort of thing, you can set it up this way too. And on the right-hand side, I'm showing the sorting and grouping, and you can sort by all the different fields and that sort of thing, and filter out. You can filter out the alarms and that sort of data that you don't want to see as well, if required to. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, here's just showing what I was talking about, the predefined comments or entering. I just put in a dynamic comment there as well. And then you can see I can save that comment. I can acknowledge the alarm. I can clear and acknowledge the alarm as well. And that allows, obviously, any action I take here is going to also be reflected in the traditional Symmetry client, if you want to call it that. So there's no mismatch between any data or anything like that. If I clear an alarm here, it's cleared everywhere at that point. Next slide. Okay, so here I'm just going to diverge and go into the second application. So this is a separate web app, but this will be used, it's almost like a brother and sister apps between Portal and the enterprise reporting that I'm going to be talking about here. And I can see these two sort of being used very much together. So Symmetry Enterprise Reporting is now focused on the data and obviously, as the name suggests, on reporting solution. And that, as you would notice, was not in the Portal web app that I was talking about before. So this is where you would come for your access control reports, your out-of-the-box reports for the access control system. But we've again unified a number of different bits and pieces that we had out in the world, and kind of unifying a couple of products here as well. So what you can see is not only out-of-the-box reports, but on day one, this will also have custom reports. It'll have the ability to export fairly large data sets, and our Symmetry Analytics or Symmetry Business Intelligence solution, if you've ever seen that, is also baked into this as an add-on module. So you see we've got a really blown up image there of the menu that's in the system, and you can see those features that I'm talking about. So the analytics is a module. You've got your out-of-the-box reports. That's what's selected right now with your access reports or access control reports, but custom reports are right there. You can edit your custom reports from here as well, so on and so forth. So let's take a little bit more of a look at that as we go. Next slide. So just starting off with the sort of standard access control reports, and this is really, I'm just showing the filters. I couldn't even fit it on the slide with the actual report because there's so many filters that could be put in place. You can save these filters and all of that as well. So the concept is we give you very large views of data. So it's a big set of data, right? Thousands or millions of records perhaps. And the ability here is to go in and filter down to exactly what you need, exactly what you want. So you can filter by date periods, by identity data like employee numbers and card numbers and things like that, or locations where something happened and that sort of thing as well. And then all the different card options are available there too. Now, a couple of important things that I haven't yet mentioned is this system can actually sit on top of multiple Symmetry access control systems. So if you have 3 different access control, Symmetry access control systems out there, this reporting platform can integrate with all 3. And we can take the data for reporting from those 3 systems and unify it. So let's go to the next slide. And so here's just a typical badge activity report. And so a report like this, for example, I could show Jonathan Moore in 3 different access control systems all on one report, for example, which is very, very powerful because there's a lot of reasons why you would have multiple access control systems out there. And there's also a lot of nice features in here in terms of being able to export these reports, download the data, and manually at this point send them via email as well. Next slide. I mentioned custom reports. So this is based on our advanced reporting utility that's out there today, which is a powerful custom report solution, but it's a separate application to everything else. So you've got to manage it separately. You've got to download it and install it and do all those things. Whereas with this, it's baked right into your standard reporting application. You don't have to train anybody how to use it differently. It's all, it's part of the same product. It's there on day one. And you can create reports as you like. Be able to edit, customize those. You can even take other reports that have been created. Maybe AMAG has created one, for example. Maybe our tech support or somebody has built one, or the apps engineering team, Greg's team, and maybe then import that directly into the solution and use it. And at that point, your user base, you can have different roles where certain roles can edit and customize reports, and other roles can view those reports, for example. So it's all controlled within the underlying application. Next slide. Another thing that we've thought about, because we've been learning a lot about data, and some of our customers are getting very, very large data sets these days that they're starting to collect, and so we're learning more about that. You don't want 100,000 records in a report that you're running and trying to manage that. We've built in a data exporter that has very basic SQL scripting. You don't have to be an expert in it, or just the ability to drag and drop columns and that sort of thing into this data exporter. And then you can export the data into a CSV file or Excel file, for example, right from there. You don't have to run a report in the UI. It'll just export it automatically if that's what you're trying to do. So if you need a large quantity of data to be pulled, it's right there. It's available in the base application. Next slide. And finally, the Symmetry Business Intelligence Analytics solution that I've talked about before on these webinars several times has a lot of features and functionality, but again, was a separate application. You're noticing a theme here. Basically, we've taken those same analytics and we baked them right into the enterprise reporting solution. So this is a licensed module that can be added on, but if it's added on, it's right there in the reporting platform with everything else that I've talked about, and it's available there. So we have the identity analytics. If you go to the next slide, there's occupancy analytics, and I've also not shown is device analytics as well. But I think at this point I am out of time, so I am going to hand over to Greg McDermott to give you a quick overview about our trade show booth, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you for that. So we are very excited for what we're going to be showing you at GSX this year. We're going to be in booth number 2735. And we're going to have 3 separate stations to provide demos. Now, our intent for the show is for every station to be able to show all of our products. So less of a need to find the specific station that's showing something new or otherwise. Every station will be able to show every product. Each station is going to be running a standalone instance of Symmetry Access Control version 9.4. And each station is going to represent a individual region from one of our global regions. So we'll have a station for North America, station for LATAM, EMEA, APAC. Each station is going to be running a different region. They're going to have very similar configurations so that we can show our system in a consistent manner across stations. So there's going to be a single instance of Symmetry Connect and Guest that's going to be sitting above each of these stations, so we can show pushing of card holders through identity management to each individual region. Each station is also going to have integrated Zenatel IC Edge. So we're going to have the Zenatel Turbine Mini intercom stations with video. The video from the turbine is going to be used in our Symmetry Complete View. So we're going to have Complete View, access control, so audio, video, access control, all integrated seamlessly at each station. There's also going to be a Symmetry control room instance that's going to be sitting above each one of the systems. So that will be able to show further integration capability, including using the Symmetry Complete View clients as a SIP station for the Zenatel integration. Additionally, each station is going to be powered by our M4000 panels. So the reason we decided to go with M4000, it gives us a lot more flexibility with what we are going to be demonstrating and showing when it comes to different lockdown and threat mitigation techniques. So, for example, we are going to have Symmetry threat level at each system, so we can show going through managing a potential threat and showing how you can do a system-wide change across different systems. But we're also going to be able to show lockdown using arming and disarming through M4000 intrusion. And also we're going to be showing the new 9.4 M4000 area lockdown, which allows us to, even within a single Symmetry instance, have different areas that are in lockdown versus not lockdown state. So we're going to throw three different ways of dealing with different threats and dealing with how they can work together, and showing how you can, for example, increase lock down an area, but then do a threat level increase across the system for the purposes of putting everyone else on high alert, even when you're dealing with a very specific ongoing incident at a given area. With the new products that we're going to be showing, we will have the Symmetry Portal that will be sitting across each system, and the Symmetry Enterprise Reporting across everything. So you will be able to show how we're bringing these four separate systems all through one viewing interface. And with that, as a reminder, we're booth 2735, and with that, I'll pass it off to Kim.
Thanks, Greg. So if you are attending GSX, I want to remind everybody, next slide, please. I want to invite everyone to come visit us at booth 2735. You are welcome to register for free on us when you go to gsx.org/VIP and then use code VIPGST16. I encourage you to contact your national account manager, your regional sales manager, or business development manager to schedule a meeting or a demo. And as Jonathan and Greg just shared, we have so much to show you, and we look forward to seeing you there. So unfortunately, we have run out of time for questions. So Jack and Dave, I'll be sure to get you answers to your questions. Appreciate those questions. They are good questions. Thank you, Jonathan and Greg, for your informative and exciting presentation today. If you have any questions about Symmetry, please reach out to your local AMAG salesperson and we can set up a meeting with you.